So welcome, Monty, and we're now recording as well, which is good. And just to say, we have Mr. Richard Norton as our co-host tonight because, and this was his point, we're practicing the rotation policy because of the biosecure environment that we're forced to live in at the moment. So Simon Mann is having a break for tonight because he needs to see his family. In fact, that's a lie. He's not seeing his family at all. He's doing Dutch football. So there we are.
That's what he tells us.
That's what he tells us. Yeah, and he might be doing some kind of weird karate or something. But anyway, he's not with us tonight. So Richard is our co-host, deservedly so, having run this this operation technically superbly for about the last 4 months. And Monty, are you a fan of Simon Mann? Likes his karate and his what is that other thing he does? Some kind of
Tai Chi. I don't know.
Tai Chi. Are you a fan of that, Monty?
I actually did a bit of Tai Chi back in South Africa in 2009 when I went to Joburg to play for Joburg, and it kind of like people do it in the morning. They're very slow movements. To be honest, it just didn't really tick my boat, and I did a couple of sessions, and it just wasn't me. Tai Chi. I'm more of a yoga person. You know, everyone has like a relaxing activity that they can do, just like a mindful activity, as we call it. That's obviously it's a very fashionable now, isn't it, to do a mindfulness activity? And
that's your yoga's yours, is it?
Yeah, yoga's very much mine. So and I find yoga just relaxing, just keeping my body nice and flexible. I think it helps with me.
Well, welcome to our club, as I said before, and also welcome to everybody else who's here tonight. I'm sorry if there's a few glum faces, or should I say, I'm sorry you've got glum faces. We're all feeling a bit low after that dismal performance by England. I feel slightly depressed because, so much build up, lovely series poised, 2 games to go, new stadium, exciting, got a couple of players returning to the team like Bairstow and stuff. And it's just fallen totally flat. And that was rubbish, really. So it's disappointing. Monty, did you watch it? And what did you think of it, if you did?
Yeah, look, I just think, I know it's easy to say that, but they were just missing straight balls. And you kind of think, how are they missing, straight balls, which are not turning big? But it's actually intelligent bowling from the Indian spinners. Like we saw, I remember, I saw you on your Twitter feeds giving us after 9 overs this footholds. And it gave us a bit of a chuckle when I was out with my friends this morning. And then I quite like the way you give the picture footmarks and the lines, because same length that was with Zach Crawley turn, and the other one just went on with the arm. So you can see how difficult it is. It's not easy, but I guess we just don't play very well in spinning conditions.
So you'd rather have bowled on that pitch than batted on it, basically.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on there. I think it was a toss to bowl.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, do you think you would have known? Because I know you were in Ahmedabad 2012, although you didn't actually play that test match, did you? Do you think you can tell? Because you mentioned that the Twitter thing I put out, which was I just saw the run-ups after 5 overs from each end, and there was already those dark patches and a few little mini holes. And I'm thinking, after 5 overs from one end, it's already starting to crumble. This is turning big. So are you good at reading pitches, and would you have known that if you'd been there, that it was probably a good pitch to bowl spin on?
Well, I think that interesting thing is half the pitches there's red soil, the other ones are like sort of clay black soil. And I reckon England team trained under the lights. They didn't train during the day. And I reckon they gave India gave them pitches which is of the black soil, and the wicket it itself is a red soil wicket. And I reckon their bowlers were bowling and they're thinking, yeah, it's doing a bit, it's hooping and everything. And they produced a wicket which is turning track, but the practice wickets that are like seamers. I reckon
that is conspiracy.
Conspiracy.
That's a fantastic observation, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it's happened to us before. We go to Sri Lanka, go to other places where I think the net wickets are not the way what they are in the Test match. It's like,
and actually,
whoa.
if you go to Perth,
Yeah.
have you ever played it? Have you played the Wacker? I can't remember.
Yeah, I played the Wacker. I got, I think, 5 from my Ashes debut.
Because there, yeah, of course, you Adam Gilchrist got stuck injured, didn't he? Actually, there, but
that was actually second innings, and he hit
that was
me
a
for
second
six,
innings.
six,
Yeah, no, I
six,
remember.
4. And 2020 wasn't even introduced then.
But well, that can happen to lots of people. That Adam Gilchrist takes you apart. No disgrace there. I think the Perth net wickets are so fast and bouncy that they almost make you scared to go out into the Wacker. So it's good. It's a good like kind of point that you can sway opponents' sort of decision making and even attitude by the net pitches that you provide. You could be right. England were conned.
Yeah, I think they were. I thought they were conned. You know, I could not see Joe Root make such a complete a test team that is with 3 seamers and 1 spinner on them pitch conditions. You know, I'll be interested to see what the practice pitches were like.
Because they did say, I mean, I heard Zach Crawley say tonight that you're right. They practiced under lights, and he said the practice pitch is nipped around. So they thought, oh, you know, it's going to swing and seam and stuff like that. And then they're playing on a desert. Just tell me one other thing. I'm sure you've got questions. Just one thing I'm interested in, Monty. Left arm spin. So Axar Patel today, 6 wickets, mostly with the straight on delivery. And he turned a few, of course, and he bowled well. But how many of those straight on deliveries are deliberate, and how many of them are just natural variation?
Look, I can explain you with the ball over here. So when you bowl normal delivery, this is obviously 12 o'clock. So as a left arm spinner, probably be 11 o'clock. You know, 11 o'clock going 5 o'clock, and then that ball then goes like this, and you'll spin that way. Now the squarer that seam goes. So we have this way, and the squarer it goes. We got 10 o'clock, 4 o'clock, probably that way. Then as that ball lands, it can either hit the seam, which will turn probably more like it'll bounce and it'll turn like that rather than more of a bounce turn with overspin. And then if it hits the leather, it will skid on. Now, what we see with the Indian spinners is that they sometimes with their hand position, they don't get their fingers over the ball. They just let it run straight. And they actually sometimes purposely do it. And other times, I'm sure, natural variation of the pitch actually plays a part as well.
And do you, when you were a spinner, I mean, I know you still are a spinner, but I mean, when you were playing Test cricket, did someone teach you to do that? Did you learn to do it yourself? Did you change your position of the ball? I mean, I've got a ball here. Did you sort of change the grip of the ball a lot?
Yeah, look, that's a great question. I remember watching Sachin Tendulkar in Mumbai. So I bowled my natural delivery, which was probably 11 o'clock, 5 o'clock seam, gone there. And when I get a lot of revs on the ball, it actually drifts and goes with an arc like that. And from that point, middle stump hits top of off. And that's what happened in the first innings. And in the second innings, what I did, I got my fingers to go over the seam like this. So then in the air, it's going at the same arm speed, but as it's dropping, it's just going very straight as a trajectory, landing in the same spot. But because it's going at a flatter trajectory like that, and the seam rotating, that kind of makes a batsman think, I don't need to come forward as much. And then he kind of stuck in the crease and it hit him straight at the pads, and I got him LBW.
Who taught you that? Or did you just pick it up as you went along?
Yeah, that's something you just pick up naturally as you play. It's like we've seen, Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad, the wobble seam where they kind of like just let it, wobble in the air and they don't know what it's going to do. Either it's going to go in or out. And it's the same thing with this ball, it's just a ball which I haven't seen Jack Leach bowl, but cross seam, put your fingers over the seam like this, and then it's going, in this direction, which is probably, I don't know, let's say 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock. So it's going like that. And then if it hits the seam, it will go straight. If it hits the leather, it could just skid on. So it won't turn. It'll bounce high or bounce low.
Have you talked to Jack Leach? Have you met him? Have you passed on anything?
Yeah, I remember bowling him at Lords, and he asked me, how would you bowl to Steve Smith? And then I said to him, you need to get wicket to wicket. Just remember that whatever ball you bowl, bowl wicket to wicket. Keep, don't like go, wider. Don't give him any room. You're cramping for space, and that's what you need to do. And then he will induce the shot. And I think what it is with Jack is that he's found his stock delivery. He's found his rhythm now, and he bowls a lovely sort of, lovely deliveries today that he did. And it's, you don't want to, I know what it's like. If you coach too much, say too much, what ends up happening is, like, I remember Duncan Fletcher said to me, he goes, it's easier to damage a player than actually make him better. So it's just, once his stock delivery is good, and I think what he needs to work on right now is the consistency. If you can get that consistency better, then you can start saying, okay, why don't we now introduce him maybe like a nice arm ball or do this kind of stuff. So I think at the moment, if you can just nail that stock delivery, maybe a bit of variation in pace, and maybe try and go different positions, I think that's a good starting point, because you want to make sure that their foundation, their stock delivery is really, really good.
Yeah, and he's got the basics, hasn't he? But he's a lone operator really, with only one spinner. Norts, what you got? Any thoughts?
Well, I'd like to, one of the points of today of our weekly gathering online. Big hello to patrons, old and new.
Yeah,
of course.
definitely.
It's obviously Monty. The very fact that we wanted you to be part of it is that we're doing it on a Wednesday night, not our usual Thursday night. I thought it'd be quite interesting. Perhaps you could tell everybody what is the reason why we couldn't do it tomorrow. It was a very good reason, and I was wondering, given the fact, and I will be given a tiny little bit, you are going to India, perhaps you can divert for the 4th test, because it seems to be we need more quality spin in the England bowling attack right now. But yeah, where are you going? Where are you going exactly, Monty?
What are you doing?
So I'm going on a T20 retired tournament where the likes of England, India, South Africa, Bangladesh, and West Indies will be there. And from the India team, Sachin Tendulkar will be there, Sehwag, Yuvraj Singh, Zaire Khan. In our team, we'll have KP, myself, Jonathan Trott, Brian Sidebottom, Matthew Hoggard. So we've got a really good team. Phil Mustard will be joining us. James Treadwell as well. So yeah, we've got a Chris Tremlett. Yep, he'll be coming.
Got a lot of bowlers, not many batsmen.
Well, this we've done. What we've England done today is we'll probably have a team with bowlers, and it'll probably be a turning pitch.
Hey, Chris Tremlett.
You'll have to get your 4 overs out the way early. People trying to smash you everywhere. Chris Tremlett. Well, he can do a weightlifting class or something, can't he?
Yeah, he'll probably lift me and do some squats, and we can post that up on social media.
That'd be quite funny. And what's it in aid of? And is there a sort of future plan for this?
I think they had it last year. I think it's for the road safety T20 tournament that they have. So it's probably more to do with in India, where Tendulkar is the ambassador for this tournament, and I think is there just to help with the infrastructure of India.
Well, talking of Tendulkar, we've got one of your great moments here. I want to just show you that, and you can tell us about it afterwards. I'm just lining up the sound here a minute. So I think this was 2006. No, this would have been 2012, I think, wouldn't it? So 2012. I know you got Sachin as your first ever Test wicket. That was 2006, wasn't it? Yeah. But this was perhaps one of your proudest moments. Have a little watch of it, and then you can tell us about it afterwards.
Oh, Bowden! That's a great delivery. It's spun, perhaps the first ball that's spun this morning for Panesar, and Tendulkar is walking back, bowled once again. Have a look at this. He's trying to play to the onside, I think. Yes, he was. He's trying to play to the onside. Yes, it turned. But maybe if he tried to play it straight towards mid-off, it could have been a whole different ball game. But Monty Panesar, second wicket.
So I love the celebration, by the way, Monty. I mean, awesome. And you were famous for your celebrations. We missed those.
Yes. So I wish I could make a comeback in county cricket and can do them celebrations again.
So tell us about the situation. That was the second test, wasn't it? Just after the Ahmedabad test, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was in Mumbai, where I think Duncan Fletcher kind of got a Ranji Trophy match on the pitch 4 days in advance, and he wanted a turning pitch. And then when we win the toss and looked to bat first, well, actually we bowled first, and they batted first. It just turned from day one, and the balls were different then as well, because the SG balls that we normally get are slightly softer in the seam and the leather position. So when you're turning it, even if you turn and get good shape on it, you still need the seam to catch and grip, and go on with pace. And only with a harder ball, you manage to do that. So when we got these SG balls, they were like nice and hard, new batch of balls that they had. And the seam was slightly more pronounced than it normally is with an SG ball. So that allowed my ball and the way I bowled, to come up. The whole sort of shape on the ball, the turn and everything was absolutely perfect on during that tour.
Was that the time you met Sachin and he asked you about bowling or talked to you about bowling? Was that before?
No, I met him in 2006 when I obviously got him out at Nagpur, and it was an LBW, and I got the ball signed. It said, "Once in a blue moon, mate, never again." And then I got him out at Lords, and he goes, "Well, that blue moon comes more often than I thought." And then he signed. And then when I got him out twice at Mumbai, I thought, I can't ask him to sign the ball. I think it's it would be a bit embarrassing for me to do that.
He was basically your bunny, wasn't he?
Well, it's I wouldn't like to say that, but I guess, yeah, you're probably right. He was my bunny.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look up, actually. Knowles, ask him another question a minute.
Oh, well, one I'd like to touch on, Simon touched upon it, is your celebration. And I'd like to say, I think basically Imran Tahir took it and he nicked it, didn't he? And he developed it, just making it a much longer run. But was that something you always did in all forms of cricket?
No, I never did that. I did that when I took Tendulkar's first wicket. It was as simple as that.
Yeah.
And I took Tendulkar as my first, and that was a reaction of like sheer surprise. It's like, am I like living a dream here? Is this really happening? I've just got Sachin Tendulkar out, such a famous cricketer. And then it kind of made me famous, didn't it? I guess Simon Hughes didn't know who I was, and when he saw that wicket, he thought, "Oh, who is this guy?"
I remember that test, actually. I mean, I was there at Nagpur on your debut, and
yeah,
I thought, actually, I remember you getting Sachin out, and I thought, yeah, I could see it happening. He wasn't sure. And I think you probably hit him on the pads a few times before you even got him out, actually. And I just thought, yeah, he's all over you. But you're all over him, basically. I'm just looking up here. Batsman dismissed. Now, this isn't part of the quiz, in fact. But who do you think you've taken the wickets the most of? Who do you reckon you dismissed the most times?
Brendan McCullum. I used to always get him.
Brendan McCullum is correct. Very good. So he was first. He's top. 6 out of 9 times you played against him. The next one is Ross Taylor, 5 times, and then you've got 2 men on 4 times. One of them is Sachin Tendulkar, and the other one is MS Dhoni. Then West Hampstead, is it? You live now?
Yeah, I'm there, but I'm in Luton at the moment.
Oh, you're in Luton at the moment?
Yeah, right. Luton. Yeah, but yeah, I reside in both places.
Oh, right, okay. And how do you decide where you're going to stay then?
Depends on like work and how busy I am. If I have a lot of obviously work in London, and then I go back to West Hampstead.
Tell us about the Monty Channel.
Yeah, so the Monty Channel, it was basically an Australian guy who worked for like Channel 7, Channel 9, like 10, 15 years ago, and he's based in England, and he just approached me. He goes, "Do you fancy doing some clips?" He goes, "I've got a golf channel with Nick Faldo, which is hugely successful," and so I started to do it, and in a way it kind of helped me to engage with fans and just start practicing broadcasting skills. If I had to give an update during lunch or tea break, I can do it on there, and gradually just at my own pace just get better at doing that. And then I started doing fitness videos, and I started talking about politics campaigns. So the channel is sports and also politics and entertainment, and I give strong opinions and I don't hold my opinions back.
And do you have a cameraman who follows you around? I mean, I've seen shots of you sort of standing in a street, giving your kind of 1 minute soliloquy or whatever. I mean, how does it work?
Yeah. So I normally during test match days, I'll maybe have Peter Lamb with me, the co-founder, and we'll go together and we do the updates. We'll get fan engagement. So we work together as a team. And there's other days where I have to do things myself and just get content out there. So sometimes it's just so important just to keep producing, good quality content, and give my views as a media broadcaster of of what I think of what's happening during the match.
Have you got a proudest moment or a most favourite piece that you did recently?
Yeah. Like I thought for me was at the Lord's Test match when I was there sitting in the fans and I was giving updates.
Oh.
And during that time, we Jofra Archer bowled a couple of bouncers at Stephen Smith, and then half an hour later he came out to bat. And I think that was a turning moment for Stephen Smith where everyone just applauded him and they kind of started to, they loved a moment where they started to sort of love and show affection towards Stephen Smith. Before, I think everyone just obviously hated him. And then I kind of did a report on that, just after play and where the fans at Lords, and he got a huge traction. So it was, that was and that's the great thing about it. When you're in the stadium, there could be some vital moments that happening or engaging with fans, and that's what I find that, the fans like that when I go to cricket matches. They can, talk to me, they can come into my Monty Channel videos, and that's really important when you're able to be accessible to the fans.
Simon, can I? That's actually apropos. So I must ask Monty a vital question about media. Oh mate, it just popped in. He said that. Monty, you don't know, Simon. You don't know that you and I spoke in 2006, right? Who even knew that, right? I'll tell you what it was. It was the first test of the 2006-2007 Ashes at the Gabba. First day, you weren't playing, but I went along as an English. I lived in Australia then. Went to the nets to see who was hanging out, and there's all these parochial Australian fans just there. And there was me, this bespectacled English guy, pushed through to the nets, and you were there bowling into a net by yourself with a bunch of balls, right? Just you aiming at, I think it was like one stump. Anyway, as I got there, you were going down the net to collect the balls, yeah? And I went like any English fan does when, Monty Panesar went, Monty! And he looked up at me, put your thumb, went, all right, mate. That was all cool. That's not really much of a story, but it's cool that we connected. But what I find interesting is as soon as I did that, a man came up to me, right, of Indian origin, and he handed me a business card, right, which said Monty Panesar, the spinning cobra, right? And I thought, what's going on here, right? I was thinking, what if I actually called that number? What would I get Monty Panesar for? So it struck me that even in 2006, was right at the kind of like birth of your international test career, you were thinking about such things, about that media career, because these business cards were printed up, and you even had that nickname established. Is that fair?
Yes. Yeah. That was obviously my mentor, Dave Parsuth. He's obviously not with us anymore, and he had cancer to the brain, lung cancer, and so, but he was very good at marketing, maximizing like opportunities from a marketing perspective, which I think at the time even cricketers were just cricket 2005 was just sort of getting into that mainstream where cricketers were becoming the sort of celebrities, mixing in with musicians, other sort of industries. And I was just probably just part of that wave where Monty Mania started to happen. And we being from university background, that's what you're just, I think you cricket's come a long way since then, but you tend to be a bit more sort of social media tech savvy, marketing ways and all that. So it's something that I think every cricketer should know how to sort of promote themselves.
And that was a good test to miss, wasn't it, as well? That first They scored 1,000, didn't they, or something?
Yeah. They scored, obviously, lots and lots of runs. But I find like even the Barmy Army fans, that when I'm out there and the commitment that they show is amazing. But when I was actually there, it was, I just felt as a team we weren't ready. Like Duncan Fletcher, for example. He picked Ashley Giles, but I know he picked Ashley Giles because he felt like batting, bowling is great, but Ashley Giles wasn't ready. He only played a couple of first warm-up games. You rather risk me and not do well. You'd rather risk me and say, well, okay, I want to play Monty in the first test, and if he doesn't do that well, then I can bring Ashley Giles back maybe for the Adelaide, which is slightly slower pitch. But also it showed, Duncan Fletcher, good coach, is a good coach of a team that is developing. I think if he wants to be the leading team, he's not a great coach, as being, yes, we are the number one teams, we are going to lead at the front. He was so used to the style of captains he had. Nasser Hussain, a developing side, made it into a good team. Michael Vaughan again, great. But he had his sort of system of a CEO, board of directors, and if you're not part of that, then he didn't really speak to you, which was great. He kind of said that, oh, I'm an observer. I observe, and which that was his style. But he was so molded as a cricket coach to go and be, let's say, the underdogs, that when he took that team to Australia, England were the number one team. All eyes were on England, right? And that's where I think some of his decision making and the players that were available, not available, you can tell that he wasn't comfortable with that scenario. He was always happy being part of a team that's developing and growing, but not a part of a team that actually we're going to lead from the front, like Ravi Shastri does. He very much says we're the number one team in the world, and we're going to show you who we are. So there's two contrast style of coaches.
You mentioned about the Barmy Army there, and obviously you were a big hero of theirs. What about problem crowds? Where did you have? Where was it unpleasant? Did you suffer from sort of abuse and things in anywhere in Australia or anywhere else?
It's really interesting you say that now, because at the time I was brought up to think that the British white person, right, knows all the answers. Like my coach Dave Parsuth, he said, if it was a British white coach coaching me, we will note everything they say. They're the leaders of everything because of the British Empire, etc., etc. This is from a BAME background. This is how we think. We think that you're already superior to us because of the whole British Empire, how you rule the world and everything. And so we're like noting every point to the T, all the good points they're saying, and then go back into training. Oh, the coach told me to do this, do that, go out there and practice all day. And that's how we were taught. We were you'd never question them, never like this. And then when this George Floyd incident happened, I know everyone's talking about it, but I don't know. I never thought racism existed. I never thought in my head. I just went, my goal is to play for England, and that's it. Everything else is just obstacles. Everyone has obstacles. Michael Jordan had obstacles. I just never think like that. And sometimes it's great to talk about it, but as long as it doesn't limit your progress, as long as it doesn't, stop you from getting from your goal because you get sidetracked.
So are you saying in a way that probably things were said to you, but you were so focused and sort of respectful in a way that you didn't really notice it? Or you thought they can't mean what they sound as if they mean because they're English. They can't possibly mean that in a rude way. I mean, were you sort of too trusting perhaps, or too focused and you didn't notice it?
Well, the thing is, right, is that I'll give you an example. Like in Sydney, they said to me, oh, where you park your elephant, mate? And I'm like thinking, I don't really understand what he's saying. Firstly, where'd you park your elephant? Right. Secondly, I go and tell the guys, they're laughing their head off and they think it's so funny. But now, if a fan says that now, that is racist. That's a racist slur. But the way I reacted to so many racist moments where half the time I didn't understand. Second the time I just laughed off because my goal was I want to play for England. I want to be a number one. I want to become one of the best spinners in England. And I don't care what people are saying to me. I don't want to get sidetracked to my goal. My goal as a sportsman is get to the top, and that's it. And that's why, even my coaches around me, they said to me, look, you got to get to the top. You can't let anything get in the way. So I never took these kind of comments too personally.
Actually, didn't you, the other day, there was a bit of a sort of Twitter exchange with you and Roland Butcher, wasn't there? Because you wanted to ask me about the Jackson 5 or something, didn't you?
Oh yeah, you're
The West
actually
Indies, West Indians playing for
you
Middlesex.
yeah, you are, I think, the perfect person to answer this question, because this is how it happened. I'll tell you how it happened. Black Lives Matter happened. I had to write an article because of his Black History Month at university, because I'm doing a MA in International Sports Management. And my lecturer asked me, who is the first black cricketer? I said, that's easy. That's Big Dev. Devon Malcolm, 9 for 57. Everyone knows he's the first black cricketer. He goes, no, it's Roland Butcher. And I was like, really? So then I investigated more, because he goes, I want you to interview him and write an article about it. So I interviewed him. And when I interviewed him, he said, I would like a statue of the Jackson 5 at Lord's, for, because then it will show that, yeah, black people mean something. There's no statue of a black person at Lord's. Then I investigated further. Jackson 5. Who gave the nickname? Oh, Ozza. So, Simon Hughes gave me the nickname.
I did that. I didn't actually. I didn't give them the nickname, but I don't know who did. But it became just a sort of a common way of grouping them together, which in itself is an outrageous thing to do, really. But because there were 5 black players and they tended to be together most of the time, certainly socially. And actually, I was regarded, by some reason, they welcomed me into their midst as an honorary black. They said, you're an honorary black. I don't know why. I think it was partly because I was a fast bowler, and also because I think they quite liked some of the women I was around with. I don't know why. So we there was a bit of kind of banter about that. And I don't know, maybe that I was also incredibly, I was always the last person to finish changing, and they were always quite late as well. So we just all sort of became a group. And how they got named as the Jackson 5, I can't remember who called them that, but they were happy with it, actually. And I mean, at least they seemed to be on the surface. Whether they harbored, animosity underneath, I don't know. But at the time, it was just a sort of a little kind of light-hearted way of calling these guys in a group who all happened to be from the West Indies originally.
Yeah. So the question, I think you probably best person to ask this question is, so when you do, as we do journalism, you pick up facts, there's certain facts that pop up and you kind of think, oh, Simon's the best person to ask this question. Do you think there should be a statue of the Jackson 5 or a black cricketer because of what's happened at Lord's? Because
yeah, I do. Yeah. And I really do. I think it's a really good idea. They were all of the individually. I mean, Wayne Daniel, for instance, was an absolutely gem of a man. Well, he was known as the Black Diamond, actually. And that was because he just won in Middlesex so many tournaments and matches. And he was a fantastic individual and a tremendous bowler, and the hardest trier I think I've ever seen. To the extent where we used to have to reduce our run-ups on Sundays to 15 yards. We couldn't run more than 15 yards on a Sunday league match because to speed the overs up. And he had a run from the boundary, so he used to run on the spot to fit his run up in to the 15 yards. He'd run on the spot like this for about 20 steps and then get going. And so he wanted to put his whole run up into 15 yards to make sure he was still bowling maximum pace. Roland Butcher, first black cricketer to play for England, fantastic guy. Norman, amazing fielder, Roland Butcher. I mean, people would pay admission to watch him field, hoover the ball up on the boundary. Norman Cow's a fantastic bowler. Will Slack, the nicest man in cricket history.
But why do you think there should be a statue?
Well, I mean, why not? Well, they were iconic as a group. I didn't necessarily make a statue of all of them, but I think some of them, undoubtedly Wayne Daniel and Roland Butcher. Wayne Daniel was part of the furniture at Lord's, and Roland Butcher was England's first ever black cricketer, and he started on the MCC ground staff and then went on to play for Middlesex for 15 years. So undoubtedly there should be statues of them. Yeah. I mean, they're not quite WG Grace, but then we need to branch out and put more statues of well-known players. And I think actually to be fair to the MCC, they're starting to now put out tiles, posters up of pictures of the players from the last 200 years that have played at Lord's and done well. So
Yeah, because in
they'll be part of
1990
that.
there were 33 cricketers from the black community, but
Yeah.
now there's only like 9
6
or
or something.
3
Yeah.
people. So do you think
a
the
shame.
decline of that, and also what's happening with the Black Lives Matter with George Floyd, do you believe that the ECB should put a statue to actually get more people into cricket
Yeah.
from the BAME
Why
community?
not? Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Why wouldn't they? Yeah. And, you know, just one other thing for me, right? I grew up with a lot of these players. I mean, watching Sobers and Viv Richards and people like that in the 70s and then playing with these guys in the 80s. They made a massive influence on me. They made cricket fun. They had flamboyance. They had lack of inhibition. You know, they played outrageous shots and, you know, all sorts of, you know, Roland Bush's fielding, as I said, was just, I mean, it made the game exciting. It made me excited to want to play with them and against them. So, and you know, obviously there were the fast bowlers as well, who were terrifying but beautiful. So, you know, I think the way they made our game entertaining in the 1980s, undoubtedly.
Yeah, because the relationship between West Indies and England was so strong then. You know, the best West Indian cricketers will come and play into-county cricket.
They transformed our game, basically. So undoubtedly, they should have some statues somewhere or other.
Can I just make a couple of observations? Number one, I'd like to say, have you seen the way that Monty has skillfully, with his media expertise, turned things around to become the inquisitor, and you become the interviewee? Very simplistic.
But haven't you noticed Simon Hughes actually enjoys that as well?
I think he does.
Well, I was actually just trying to give you a break.
I was like, I can't get him stop talking. I think he's quite loving this. I'm gonna ask a few more questions.
My second point is we got a bunch of questions from the floor.
Yes,
Are we ready to take some?
No, not yet. I just want to do one more thing, and that is I want to just play Monty's finest hour.
Oh, okay.
So of course you all know exactly what that is. And Monty, I'm sure you've talked about it before, but I want to just
many times I can't help myself.
You can't help yourself, but that's all right. So I want you to tell us. This is about a 2-minute edit of the epic last wicket stand in Cardiff in 2009. I just want you to tell us. Sorry, I'm just having trouble with the technology here. I'm just trying to get it to come up. Right. So I want you to tell us, you know, just a little bit about the situation. So what was the situation? Can you recall when you came into bat?
Yeah, I was pretty much thinking, am I going to miss the M4 traffic, or, you know, am I going to get up really early? And then, you know, I think everyone else other plans. So I'm sure you guys would see it, and the whole nation was completely shocked like I was.
Okay, well, here it is. Like, as I say, a 2-minute edit of your performance.
16,000 Welshmen applauding for him. We are now at the stage of unbearable tension. Hey, Monty. That'll show him, boy. In fact, less left in the match. Think 15 minutes. Think 15 minutes. What might that be? 5 overs? Still Panesar hangs on.
So what are you thinking then? 15 minutes to go.
I wasn't thinking 15 minutes, I'll be honest with you. I was thinking if it's at the stumps, play with a straight bat. If it's short, drop the hands down. And that was it. I wasn't thinking how much time we had left.
And any discussions with Jimmy?
Yeah, Jimmy said, just keep doing what you're doing. You know, just make sure you don't get bowled. If it's at the stumps, play with a straight bat. And he goes, if it's short, I don't care if it hits your body, drop them down really quick. And it's really easy. When you're in that situation, you've got 2 simple instructions. That's it. So my mind was clear. I knew what my game plan was. And that's what we did. We just took it ball by ball. You know, gradually we did the great escape.
Was it a bit like with Jimmy Anderson at the other end sort of advising you about batting tactics? Was it a bit like the blind leading the blind? Did it feel like that?
Well, it kind of felt like a bit like the Chuckle Brothers. Do you know what I mean? To me, to you, to me, to you. And Jimmy's sort of, you know, trying to defend the balls which are turning and bouncing, going past his sort of, you know, left shoulder. But we just hang in there. We stuck to like our simple game plans. But in fact, before then, Andy Flower gave us batting buddies, because he goes, why is it that the tail gets blown away so quickly? You know, it happens all the time with our team. So what he did was, my batting buddy was Paul Collingwood, and he said to me, with your bat, make sure your back lift is really low and short, not high, because when the fast bowlers, by the time your back comes down, your stumps
he's gone.
will be gone. Back really short, and you play accordingly. So I was thinking that as well when Siddle was bowling. He's quick then, and he's kind of lost a couple of yards now. So let's be honest, so he's not bowling as quick, but I was just thinking all these little cues. Paul Collingwood, batting buddy, keep my hands closed. Andy Flowers telling me, you know, when it's at the stumps, play with a straight bat. Jimmy Anderson, short, drop the hands down. And that was it. It was very simple instructions. And it's actually, it was a great lesson for me. It made me realize I may want to, you know, think so far ahead, but actually I'm only good as my next ball. I'm only good as my next step, next moment, you know, and that's it. So that's what we did in that game.
What a beautiful stroke. Hasn't Panesar played well? And now the luck's suddenly gone with him. The ball races to the boundary again. England are eking out a lead. This is an extraordinary performance. It's taking a full house down here in Cardiff at Savile Gardens with him. Oh, this is getting so close. The cult heroes at the crease.
You went to pick the ball up there, didn't you?
I said, dude, don't leave it. It doesn't belong to you.
Now the luck's
So I just sorry, I went back on that. There, look, you've actually you nearly picked it up.
You got there quicker than me.
heroes at the crease. The countdown is on to a drawn test match. 3 minutes, so maybe the last over. Marcus North. Panesar keeps it out. We're reliving 2005. It's unbelievable, never mind unbearable. Oh, that must be it. That's the final ball of Horrocks is over. That must be it. Ponting's disconsolate. Do they know it? They're about to find out. He must know it. They surely know it. Yes, they do. The handshake means a drawn test match.
Wow, amazing. What was that like? Spiriting that at the end.
Yeah, at the end, I didn't realize how tense the crowd were. I was very calm and just relaxed. But when I got back and I watched it and I looked at it, I couldn't believe, like, gosh, that moment of the tension and the whole, each ball was just like a huge event. It was just something that unbelievable, something I didn't believe would happen.
And did it take a while to sort of sink in then?
Yeah, it did actually. Yeah, it took a while to sink in. I think I had to watch it a few times after, because I knew after that test match I wasn't going to play. I was realistic. I didn't bowl very well. Swanee was just emerging into the team. Good fielder, good batter, good slip fielder. Just, you know, generally there's more options with him as a cricketer. And I realized that, you know, I probably will only play now as a second spinner on overseas pitches. That was my last home test match as well. So, which was something very difficult for me to accept, because, you know, I'm always being the frontline spinner, and suddenly someone's taking my spot, my seat, and I'm like, that seat belongs to me, you know. But you have to accept that's part of a sportsman's journey and say, look, I'm all-round cricketer. He's a better all-round cricketer than me. I've got to put my hand up and got to accept that I'll probably be the second spinner, and that was the case. So, you know, after that, I think England became the #1 team very quickly. It was in 24 months. They had their goal. They did it 18 months. And it was a great time for English cricket after that.
It was a big turning point, actually, because after that, you won the Ashes in 2009. And then that was the beginning, really, of, as you say, going to top in the world. So you played a big part in that beginning of that process. Right, let's have some questions, shall we? I'm sorry, we've waffled on too long now. I apologise for that.
Right, you ready? Shall I bring some people in?
Yeah, so please do. Actually, I'll tell you what, Paul Morley, before you bring in your list, Paul Morley has already posted a question. I don't know if you can find him on your list of people, Norts, but he's got a good question actually. And I don't know if you want to ask your question, Paul.
Yeah, I'm unmuting him now, so I can do this.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Yeah,
Hi,
I've
Paul.
got this question. I posted another question on WhatsApp as well, so maybe if I can get away with asking two at once, I will. I guess I'll go back to my original WhatsApp question, actually, following on from what we've just seen. Obviously, the Cardiff situation is probably what most England fans remember you most fondly for, Monty, despite all of the wonderful sort of bowling performances. From a personal point of view, there was a chap called Bill El Shafayat, who you may remember was the 12th man in that game. When I was going back many moons ago, I'm hail from Nottingham originally, and played a bit of club cricket with Bill El when he was a teenager, and watched with great interest when he came on with the gloves at least once, if not twice, in the last sort of 15 minutes in that game, which seemed to obviously irk Mr. Ponting quite a lot. So just first question was really whether you remember what the conversations were and what Ricky's response was to Bill coming on with the gloves. And then secondly, the question that the guys referred to in the chat was Shane Warne's obviously been fairly vocal about your career, and he made a comment a few times about you saying that something like Monty hasn't played 50 test matches. He played the same test match 50 times. So I just wondered what your response to that is, and if I don't know whether you ever spoken to him about it, and what your comeback would be to that criticism, apparently.
Yeah. Okay, great. Two questions. I think with Bill Shafayat, I would say that obviously, irritated Ricky Ponting because he kept on coming, out and giving us the gloves. And he was quite a cheeky chap anyway, young when he played cricket. He was a sensation under 19s. Like everyone thought he was going to become, the next sort of unbelievable batsman, in English cricket. And it was a shame how his career kind of faded away after that. Did really well at Northampton. Then he went to Notts. They always say, don't go back to your home county once you've left it. And he went back to Notts. It wasn't the same. Bigger club, test match venue, more expectation. With a smaller club, they'll always give you opportunity. But he was a great cricketer, really good guy, and he knew how to wind the opposition. He was a captain of the under-19s, England under-19s, so he was very good at his strategies and tactics. So he's brilliant at that. And going on to the other question of Shane Warne, yeah. I don't think he expected that comment to go so strong when he said he's played 33 test matches, 33, times the same test match. I think the media kind of took that and then kind of like sort of said, well, variation isn't there. And I remember Terry Jenner, the late Terry Jenner, said to me, because all you got to do is just shorten your delivery stride and then just bowl it like that ball come out slower. That's all you got to do. There's not a lot more to it. But I think the British media really took that and absolutely wrote loads of articles on variation and my ability to take wickets. He just bowls the same way. He's got a good stock delivery. If it doesn't turn, then he'll go for an LBW, and that's all there is to him. But then I went to Sussex and learned more better bowling, which was great. But yeah, Shane Warne, if I see him now, I'll probably say it's spinners, if I would say that he should be mindful of, especially young players coming through, because it can have a huge effect to the person's career. So if in the future he's got something really positive to say or really interesting to say to develop their game, then maybe have a word with them, on a one-to-one basis. And in the media, then he can say whatever he wants. But if he says something really harsh and then it affects their career, then that because he's such a once in a generation cricketer.
Did it affect you then?
I think I was reading a lot of newspapers. I was thinking, I thought to myself, I'm bowling my stock delivery, but then I'm thinking people are just worried about when is he bowling it slower? Does he have any variation, or is he just going to bowl the same way? And I think I got really absorbed and obsessed about my variation and the lack of it. And I remember even my friends and family who don't know much about cricket, they go, oh, do you have much variation? So even they were hanging on to it. So in a way, I kind of took it too seriously rather than just letting me bowl myself. Because I remember Geoffrey Boycott, he goes to me, Monty, I've got one piece of advice for you. And the second word is off. He goes, any person comes to you, just tell them that. So F off to anyone. He goes, you're a natural cricketer. You naturally know when to bowl it slower, naturally know what to do with the game. He goes, tell everyone to do that. And he goes, that's my piece of advice. He goes, you've got too many people coming in and giving you advice. And maybe I should have just done that. I should have been strong enough and told everyone to like, no, I don't care. I don't care what Shane Warne thinks. I don't care what the British media thinks. I don't care what you guys think. I'm going to stick to that. And sometimes a sportsman has to do that.
Mm. Oh, good on him.
Thank you,
Good on
Paul. Is Richard on screen?
Yes, Richard is. Hello, Richard. Good evening.
Hi, Simon. Good evening. Hi, Monty. Good to have you with us. Thanks for your time. My
Pleasure,
question is
Richard.
generally about spin bowling in England. Since probably yourself and the Graham Swan took on new careers in the media, we failed to produce what I would call top quality test match spin bowlers that can win us matches. And it seems to be a dying art in English cricket, domestic cricket now, there's very few spinners playing. Just wonder what you believe England can do to produce quality test spinners and what they might do domestically to help that.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Richard. I think that's a great question. I think partly we don't need a quality, let's say, frontline spinner is because of Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad. Every time in any conditions, any situation, if it's not, we give them the ball, they get the wickets, and effectively the spin bowler can hide behind them. So it gives us the option to play, the likes of Moeen Ali. He's played 60 test matches, but, he's not really a frontline spinner. He's a good batsman, has done well with his bowling. More than we expected him to do. But I think it's also, in the domestic game, it's also to do with the attitude to left to spinners. Can we get a spinner on 1 over before lunch, early June? How do we give them overs? Instead of giving the medium pacer, when conditions could be helpful for a spinner, it's a captain's also mindset. They've got to think, no, I've got to find a way of getting the spinner overs in the first innings, second innings, early season, and then have that sort of game plan as a team to think, right, second half of the season when we win games, it's not going to be through like medium pacers bowling the dibbly dobblies and Darren Stevens who picks up loads of wickets. They're good for the game, but you don't want too many of them. You don't want loads to have that, and they can have that. They can do that. They'll think actually we don't have a good frontline spinner, but it's easier to get a seam bowler that kisses the deck, because the ball seams a bit and it'll get us wickets. That's where I think as a county club, as a coach, as a captain, you've got to say, no, one of our values as a team is to protect our spinners. We've got to get them into the game. We've got to find a way, maybe second half of the season, produce turning wickets so they can play, they can win games for us. And I think that's something the ECB should encourage counties to do, especially, we've got less games now. So they'll say, look, we need, after, let's say, June onwards, guys, we want you to be producing turning pitches so we can give our spinners an opportunity to learn how to bowl in county matches.
Can I just come back with a second point on that? Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, just quickly. So if I look at, say, my own county, Hampshire, we've had Liam Dawson for the last few years and the emergence of Mason Crane. Yet last year, if COVID hadn't have hit us, we'd have had Nathan Lyon. That just points to me as we're not encouraging our own young players to develop. And secondly, and I don't know if Annie's on the call tonight, but she's a big Somerset fan, and they produce turning pitches and get fined for it. Whereas if a pitch takes seam all day, there's no penalty. So it's just another way of not encouraging spin bowling, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is to do that. It's the attitude, it's the mindset which comes from the top. It's got to be from the ECB, from the top, the committee members, or like Andrew Strauss. It's great to have him back. Ashley Giles. I'm a big believer of people who've played international cricket to be in administration roles. You look at Saurav Ganguly and BCCI transformed, the IPL with so many young players coming through. It's got to be from the top, the ECB. They've got to say, we've got to change this mindset of just, producing great seamers. We've got to bring spinners on as well. And to do that is, we're not going to, like Hampshire, why are they signing Nathan Lyon? They should not be signing Nathan Lyon. That's stopping Mason Craig or a young off spinner to come in the game. And if they have to produce slightly more turning pitches to keep their confidence in a 4-day match, then so be it. At least you're giving them a game and they're learning the craft of spin. And that's something I think needs to be encouraged from the top level. And they've got to say, look, if you're South County, we don't want you to be signing overseas spinners. Yorkshire signed Mirage. We had Ashwin at Notts. So where do they get the opportunity? A young spinner, how is he going to learn to win games on a turning pitch?
So it's more important to learn by playing, is it, than being with a star spinner?
Well, I think it's that's a great point, Simon. I think if you're going to have an overseas spinner, then you need to have a young spinner playing with him. So they both there's the likes of, let's say, Nathan Lyon is there to win games, but Nathan Lyon is there to also help that young spinner to develop and grow. So I think that's really important. So like, you look at, Mirage is going to be in Yorkshire. Who are the young spinners that are going to learn from them? And that's what I think, ECB should do. They should get like a spin consultant as a role, and then go to all the counties and say to them that, right, you're going to have an overseas spinner, but I want to also see the development of this young spinner.
Sounds like a job for you, Monty, that. Sounds like a job you'd be really good at. Anyway, good answer. Jacob, hello, good evening.
Hello there.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you, Simon and Norts, and great.
You were enjoying today's play, were you?
Yeah, it was good. It was a shame it wasn't more, even and more compelling. But I don't know. I don't know if, like you said, Simon, that they're a bit intimidated by the whole setting. The big stadium, the ping ball test. They put a lot of pressure on themselves. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, there's only 4 players have played IPL, so maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
great to listen. Yeah, great to listen to you, Monty, as well. It's been a privilege. Just you touched on it, and Simon touched on it as well, about the India tour in 2012. And I just wanted to know. I know you didn't play in the first test, but what kind of planning went into that as a spin bowling attack between you and Swan, and how it all kind of a bit of insight as to how it kind of panned out is what I really wanted to know with everything going on at the moment.
Yeah, look, that's a fantastic question. I think one of the things, what wins us overseas wins, we realized the batting is crucial. Alistair Cook's record is amazing. He can bat long. Then we have Kevin Peterson, who can attack and bat. Or if he bats all day, then he can score loads of runs. But the key really is, can the spinners bowl in defensive manner and attacking? And that's what we both could do. Myself and Graham Swan, we played at Northants. We knew how to attack. We knew how to defend. But we can only attack and defend if there's runs on the board. We made a mindset. We said, as a team, we're going to bat 100 to 120 overs. If we're going to win a test match in India, the first objective is to bat at least 120 overs. We don't care what the score is. That's the amount of time we need to bat, because then the wicket will start breaking up, and it'll give opportunity for the likes of myself and Swanee. If in the second inning we're bowling to India, we may be a defensive role, but we're taking time out of the game where the wicket breaks up, then it gives us time to attack. That is the most important thing. Now, when you look at these pitches where they spin from day one, it's spinners are in the game straight away. And we don't have an Alistair Cook. We don't have a batsman who would go out there and bat all day, or a Kevin Peterson. The likes of Ben Stokes isn't producing, them sort of innings. I think he's a great player when the ball bounces above hip, but anything that lateral movement, below the knee roll, he's and that's why in Australia he'll do well. But I think India is going to be, obviously, we all know, no team has won since when we beat them in 2012, and it looks like after today, I don't think England's going to win the Test series.
Did you and Swanee talk about the way you work together? Like saying that 2012 series, did you have an understanding? Do you discuss things, or did it just happen that you sort of understood each other by just being around together all the time?
No, we knew exactly what we were doing when we were both bowling together, right? When we were bowling together, Swanee would say to me, Monty, I want this batsman on strike. Make sure you shout in my ear as he's walking past. And I know, and I will purposely bowl a full ball on the pads, get him off strike so he can bowl to the lefty, or really bowl really tight and quick, and then he's off strike, and then he'll do the same for me. And it worked really well. And it was a shame that we didn't play a lot more together. If we played a lot more together, we would have had some fantastic times.
Oh, very interesting. Hello, Umar. You're here.
Hi again.
You've always got a question.
Yeah. So Monty, as a British Punjabi myself, you're a real icon. I think you know, the British Asian community, we're very blessed that guys like yourself, Moin Ali, Abdul Rashid, Bapara, Ramprakash, you know, you really kind of set the pathway for many others to follow. And for that, we always have you've got a great place in our heart. I actually live in Bedford, which is where you've studied as well. And my son plays county age group in Bedfordshire. Now, what always gets me is that I think grassroots, probably a third of cricketers are Asian, but as you go to the pro level, that number diminishes quite quickly. Now, having seen my son play the county age group system, there's two things I want to ask. Why do you think that is? Why the numbers dwindle? Is it racism/favoritism, which I think is a part, or equally a part I see, is it's a bit of a general idea, but I think Asian kids live to bat, live to bowl. You tell them to do fitness, push-ups, stretching, running, they're not quite as keen. So what's your experience of going through the system and what did you experience in that regard?
Yeah, look, I grew up at Luton Town and Indians, right? And I was at a club where it was all Asian people, you know, people who were brown skinned like me, eat the same foods, and culturally, you know, speak the same languages or whatever. And I didn't realize that actually that helped my development when I was a youngster, because I see so many young cricketers from the BAME community say, oh, I'm at this club and it's predominantly, let's say, Anglo-Saxon British white club, and it's not happening. And I'm like, that's fine, but it's true. Jimmy Adams said that to me when I interviewed him. He goes, yeah, people from the BAME community naturally warm towards their own community to excel. And that's why I think one of the reasons why I grew as a cricketer. Now, the reason why the other side is it's learning about each other's cultures. You know, I know that a British white kid is so much easier to coach. They listen, you tell them what to do, they don't answer back. You tell them to do fitness sessions, they do them, they're structured, they come punctual, wear the same clothes, neat and tidy, respectful, so many qualities. And I think this is easy. I'll coach myself and I'm like, how easy is this? Then I coach a kid it's like difficult, answer back, late, you know, haven't got the right kit on, but talented. And I'm spending more time in just organizing this person than actually coaching, you know what I mean? And then we talk about the coaching side of things. It's all great. But then what happens? They just think, oh, they're not giving me a chance when I go further up the ladder. It's because it's you know, like they say, it's a halfway meet. There's got to be a coach in the professional game to think, actually, you know, a young kid from the bank is going to be like that. So we've got to work out a way how we can help him because he's very talented. And the other way is the young sort of, you know, kid who's from that community, you know, understanding himself. If you want to be a professional cricketer, you've got to be on time. You've got to wear the same clothes. You've got to listen to the coaches. You've got to do your fitness sessions. Or else don't blame it on, oh, it's racism and it's that. It's just understanding different cultures and finding a medium where it works. And that's what it is.
Yeah, I think, in my personal opinion, I think we do play the race card too quickly. I think, I mean, so many talented kids I've seen in Northants, in Bedfordshire, who they're just not fit enough. Yeah, and that's why they get dropped in the end.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, you're absolutely right. It is.
And what can you do? I mean, Umar, is there anything? What do you reckon? Well, you can still hear us, I suppose. I just wondered what he thought we could do about it. But anyway, well, okay, we'll move. Well, sorry, Umar, you're back.
Magic.
So, is there anything we could do in this? I mean, how's your son finding it?
Well, I think my son, he played county age group under 10s and he didn't perform very well because he got tired. And I said, look, the harder you train, the fitter you are, the better you're going to play. And it becomes a positive addiction. So now he's like morning skipping, evening push-ups, running sessions. And you should tell them, look, the cricket side is almost secondary. You've got to be an athlete first and then be a cricketer. It's like bowling. You've got to be an athlete all the way from your run up to the crease and then be a bowler just for that 1 second. I think it's a mental change. That cricket's not about batting and bowling. It's about fitness primarily and then becoming a cricketer. So I think, yeah, dare I say, Monty, a few things you said there about, I mean, sadly speaking, Asian people in general, I'm being generalization here, but organization, wrong kit, no spikes, late. It's frustrating, true to say.
Yeah.
Which is why, I mean, my club Bedford, it's a good mix, probably half and half, and that's probably the best blend, I think.
Yeah. It's just understanding what are the requirements to be a professional cricketer.
I should have been an Asian then, really, because I was always late and disorganised and resented all the training and stuff. Anyway, that's why the West Indian guys, the Jackson 5, liked me, I think, because we all had the same attitude.
Hey, now I think you'll find, Simon, and it's a comment we will drill into and investigate further down the line. They used to hang around with me because of the women in my life.
I knew you'd pick up on that.
I mean, what's that about? But
we're not going there. We're not going there.
Now,
move on.
I've
Move
got to put my production.
Buy my books and it will all be revealed.
Production. No, I just want to say, run a tight ship. There are more questions if you want to do them, but there's also timings and quizzes.
Couple more questions.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring in Mr. Ian Wigston then.
Yes, Mr. Ian Wigston
is coming in. So there you go.
Hello, Ian.
Hi, Simon. Hi, Nort. It's good to have you with us. Really good to be listening to you. Monty, what's your perspective on team rotation and bubble management? Given your experience as a player, is the focus on mental health the right one at the moment, or is it still falling short, do you think?
Well, I think it's working quite well, with the England team where they're doing this rotation policy. But I think, look at India, they are kind of following the same suit. They're looking at with 20 players being used over the Australia tour. I think, going through this new bubble, they're probably, certain people think, oh, this is a time frame I have. After that, I need to go and see my family and for my mental health, which is really important. Now, the difficulty is if you're a player who's playing T20 cricket 1 dayers, and then there's heavy scheduling, where's your time off? Where do you get your time off? And there's certain players who then, where we've been questioned and they've gone home, then they'll be back and they'll be playing the IPL contracts and they'll be preparing for a T20 World Cup. It's because of scheduling of this year. We've got 17 test matches. We've got a heavy schedule of white ball cricket. We've got 100 tournament happening. I think that every player, there needs to be a scope where they can rest and go and, go home. Now, Moeen Ali is a really interesting case because I think if Moeen Ali stayed, England would have said, we owe you a favor now, and what I think it would have helped him a lot if he did stay, because I think ECB would have been like, wow, you 1 week off and then you went to, back home, but you stayed there for this weekend. They could desperately do him in here, If I look at it right now, and if I'm sitting right now and I'm thinking, I'm Moeen Ali, I'm in Birmingham with my family, 1 week with my family, or my country needs me desperately right now, where do I really want to be? And I'm thinking to myself, I probably should have maybe said to the Ed, you know what? I know I'm scheduled to go back home tomorrow. I will play the next test match, but then after that, I'll just go home. I reckon that would have been, ECB would have remembered that rest of their life. I think that's how, in such a delicate passage, But again, he's entitled. But sometimes, like they say, you just do that extra. That was that moment I thought for Moeen. But, when you look at the pitch, you kind of think, yeah, we need Moeen right now.
So are you saying that might count against him, even though it was his entitlement?
That's up to the other younger spinners. That's up to Dom Bess, Jack Leach. That's up to all of them, how they grab the opportunity now. If they don't bowl well and don't take wickets, Moeen Ali, they will go back to Moeen Ali. They will say, can you play the next test match or whenever? That's up to the youngsters now. Someone like Ed Smith and the selectors will say, look, he's entitled to his rest, like his Ben Stokes, Joss Butler, Johnny Bairstow. They're all IPL players. They're in that separate category. So it's up to you guys to grab this opportunity. I hope it isn't, because I think Moeen Ali is a great cricketer. But then when you take time away, then any of these players, with the maybe possibly even Ben Stokes, if he's not bowling well, if he cannot bowl and he's not batting well, even his place is going to be soon under question mark. So, any player that's taking rest, I think is given opportunity. Ben Folkes, look at that. Best keeping that we saw in the last test match. Unbelievable keeping. Now you're asking to have the question. Today, 47, 48 balls of 6 runs, batted it out well. You think, do we need Joss Butler in the test matches? Just where does Johnny Bairstow fit? Ben Folkes is the best keeper now. So every player,
this music to our next guests is that Scott Moody. You love Scott. You love Ben Folkes, don't you?
I do. I think you should always play your best gloveman. I've always said that, and I don't agree with you. The keeping's easier in Australia either. I'm just saying that for the record.
Here we go.
Can't believe that. Anyway, if keeping's so easy in Australia, how come the England batters can't get any runs if the bounce is nice and true and going through it even high all the time?
Well, it's
anyway.
just, look at David Malan. He scored his century, first class century, first 100 in Australia. He's a good player of fast bowling, and when they come to select this team, that's what they got to think about for Australia. Does Dom Sibley, is he really good at fast bowling? Does he play the ball really well and it bobs the hit? Or is he scoring with 80% of his run onside in county cricket? Do you know what I mean? And look, today he got out, slip. That's how he's going to get out in Australia if he doesn't that dismissal. So it's all about the players who can, and you may have to just select players. You may have to change certain teams and think, you know what, guys, we're picking batsmen who can play fast bowling well. We're not picking on how many runs you scored in county cricket or how many test matches you played at the start of the year. So it could be a completely different team.
On that note, Monty, the selection today of Stuart Broad over Dom Bess, do you think in the back of the England selectors' minds that they always had Anderson and Broad playing the third test because it was the pink ball test, and regardless of what the pitch looked like, they were just going to stick with that? Because to me, it was obvious from yesterday that the pitch was going to break up and turn. I couldn't understand that.
Look, it is obvious, but I want to also know what the practice wickets were like. I bet the practice wickets were seaming, and they were in Stuart Broad. It was their little cunning plan of the Indian team to actually,
and they fell for it.
I think Monty's he's vacated the building again. Interestingly.
Oh God! Oh no! I don't want to talk about the Jackson 5 anymore. Oh my God, Scott. Well, what did you think today?
Well, I just thought from before the toss they got the selection wrong. How you could have not have a decent number 8 in Test cricket these days? You had to play Wokes or you had to play Bess. Just had to. You can't go in with 3 rabbits and a ferret, as I put in the. You just can't do that in modern day Test cricket. You need a number 8 that can bat, and Wokes can bat. If it was a seamless wicket, he had to play, in my opinion.
He must be furious, Wokes, being trailing around, not playing, and seeing these other guys kind of, make a complete cock up of it. And Archer, I mean, how can you think he's? He said to me on a private interview that I did him with him recently, just a background interview. He said, "I regard myself as an all-rounder." Well,
he can't bat. I'm sorry.
He's averaging 8 in Test cricket.
Exactly. He's marginally
technically 8.15 after today's innings.
At least he did try and play some shots, but you knew it wouldn't last.
England just frustrate me so much because they you could see this a mile off. They're just going to fall for it. The wicket was not a seamer's wicket. It was a spinner's wicket. Now, they've crucified poor old Dom Bess. He's never going to recover from this.
He's hung out to dry, really.
He has, yeah. That was my next question to Monty, actually. I wanted him to talk about what are they doing to help Dom Bess in this situation? Are they going to get him to go away and work on his technique? Or do they do such things at elite level? Or do they just, once you reach that level, do they just presume that you're good enough to look after yourself? That's what I want to know, really. If he gets back on,
you might have a long way, or you can write an email and we can forward it on. Well, I'm doing my production again. This is riveting content, but I'm just scared. Monty is not on the airwaves in any way, shape, or form.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, let's just. Will, you had a question. Scott, why don't you ask your second question, and I'll see if I can answer it, unless Monty comes.
Oh, I've got Monty. Monty's in the building.
All right.
I found him again.
Right, well, we'll do 2 more questions, and then we'll do the quiz, and then we'll let him go. Okay.
There he is. Monty.
So.
Yeah. Hello, guys. Sorry, I'm back. Internet problems.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Wi-Fi problems.
So, Scott, what was your second question?
Oh, I just muted him now. I'm a shocker.
Oh, sorry. You're muted.
Right. There you go.
That's it.
Okay, Monty, welcome back. My question is concerning Dom Bess. I feel for him. It's obvious to everyone. It's obvious to Simon. It's obvious to me. I'm a spin bowling coach. So it's obvious. He's way left of vertical from where he needs to be with his release. He's not bowling as well as he can. As a result of that, he's got the old head tilted vertically at the moment of release as well, and instead of keeping his eyes horizontal. My question to you is, what's going on in the background with Dom Bess? Is there anyone there looking after him technique-wise, or once you reach international level, do they just leave you alone? They just think, oh, well, you're an international cricketer, you just look after yourself. You're good enough to get here. But it's obvious to me that he needs to go away and work on those technique flaws, if you like, if he's going to be the off spinner I want him to be. Like Ashwin did, basically. In 2016, Ashwin had a similar problem. He's gone away, worked at it, come back, and you look at him now, he's magnificent. What's going on in the background, basically?
Yeah. Look, I think when he's under pressure, he resorts to, getting his arm like past the perpendicular, so the ball then, kind of drifts in, like he got Virat Kohli out, where Virat Kohli planted his foot outside off stump. By the time the ball came to him, it was on off stump, and he got the inside edge. Now that, soon teams work that out, and they'll say this is his stop delivery. So I think what Dom Bess needs to do is actually think, there's not a lot wrong with me. All I need to just lower that arm position a little bit, keep bowling my heavy delivery, I bowl well. And it's not complicating the issue too much, because we tend, when a person gets slightly out of the team, they kind of think this huge issue. No, it isn't. He didn't play in the third test match. And the only issue was because Joe Root thought that there needs to be 3 seamers. Now, if he thought to himself, I need to play an off spinner and a left arm spinner, Dom Bess would have played. And the reason he's playing is because he can bat as well. He adds that batting value. He can bowl a little bit. And when he bats well, he bowls well. And he's technically may not be the great, but as an all-round cricketer, he's providing that number 8 position, vital kind of position. And what I question is actually Joe Root. Why was Joe Root thinking that there should be, not playing 2 spinners? Dom Bess is okay. He just needs to play. When he bats well, he bowls okay. Lowering that arm, we can work on that. It's not like a huge issue. The issue is we need to play him. He doesn't need to have the perfect bowling action. We just play him, because he will learn by playing international cricket. Now, sometimes we complicate it too much. We just say he needs to go away, work on this arm, and then do that, and then he'll go away and work on it, which means it takes him longer to get back into international cricket. And then suddenly when you need that, let's say, a second off spinner who can maybe bat a little bit, you may not have that. So you got the likes of Ermi Verdi, who's next in line, but he may not be able to bat. So then you think, who's next in line? Yeah, his action is great. Let's play him. But then batting gets a bit too long. The tail's not great. Jack Leach is more of a, the tail is still long. He's not like a proper batsman than Dom Bess is. Yeah. So the question is, you've got to think, what is happening to the player? What is happening to my team in 6 to 9 months' time when I'm making these decisions on which direction these players are going? And I think that's what Joe Root needs to sit down and ask himself, why did I first of all not play a second spinner? And what is the question of Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad playing together? Did I already have the mindset that I want to play them in the pink ball test match, regardless of what the pitch conditions are, which I think was the case. And, that sort of pre-hindsight is great in English conditions. That can work, because overcast conditions, suddenly the ball changes and whatever. But in England, in Australia, when we've got a big series coming up, I think the rotation policy works well there. So these are the things that, Joe Root needs to sit down and work out. Where does Dom Bess fit into my team? Would he fit in English conditions, or would I go with Jack Leach? Do they both compete? In my opinion, they compete with each other for that one spot in England. And on spinning conditions, Dom Bess and Jack Leach play, regardless of the pitch conditions. We play 2 spinners. And I think that's where Joe Root got it wrong.
Quiz, Simon. Quiz.
Okay. Yeah, let's do the quiz.
Apologies, because there's still some more questions, but Monty's got to get some shut eye after all. He's flying out. He's traveling.
Yeah, I need to start packing.
Oh, there you go.
Right. So, okay, that's good. That's good timing, because what we do with all our guests, Monty, is we do 10 questions, And the title of the quiz is "How well do you know yourself?" It starts with a bit of music, which is this. Okay, and there are 10 questions. The leaderboard at the moment in 2021 is led by Andrew Strauss, who had 9 out of 10. And bottom, over the sort of period we've been doing this, about 5 months, is Alistair Cook with 4. Ian Smith narrowly got into second from bottom last week with 6. So, you know, it's sort of 6 to beat, really, is the sort of area. And if you get the right answer, you get this. He's got it! And if you get the wrong answer, you get one of these.
So you want to hear less of those, don't you, really?
You want to hear less of those. So it's a quiz about you. So I hope you know plenty about you.
Okay.
And the questions have been very, very carefully researched by Richard and I. So, Mr. Norton, would you like to fire away with question 1?
Okay, I will open the batting then. And I always think it's fair to say, Simon, for the duration of this club, the first ball is very much a loose. The first question is a half volley to be smoted through the offside, isn't it? Right. So your first question, Monty, is, as we've heard earlier tonight, your first wicket in Test cricket was Sachin Tendulkar in Nagpur in 2006. But who was your second victim? Ooh, pause for dramatic effect.
He's thinking.
Do you have to say the answer?
Yes.
Yeah. So what is the answer?
Mohammed Kaif.
Very good. Excellent. 1 out of 1. Yeah, it's not a written test, this. It's a verbal. It's not an exam, right?
It was put in the chat room. Monty was putting it in the chat room, the answer.
You're thinking too far ahead here, Monty. Keep it simple. Just right. Question 2.
Yeah.
How many wickets did you take on your first class debut? So your debut in county
8.
cricket. Blimey, that was a quick. I was going to give you a bit of time to think about that. But in the second innings, you took 4 for 11 from 20 overs on your first class debut.
Yeah.
Anything to say about that?
Well, I was destined to play for England.
Excellent. 2 out of 2.
Hey, what I will say, though, to both Monty and Simon here is, Monty, if we can very quickly, just for edit, because we make a short version of this quiz, it'd be really useful now if we have 2 seconds of silence and then you say 8 and then we have silence again, because it'll make it hellishly easier to edit. So here's the silence.
8.
That's
triumph.
Very good.
What a pro. That was worth a round of applause, to be honest.
That is worth a round of applause.
Excellent. Right, question 3. Question 3 from this is a trickier one, I think, but we'll see. Question 3. What links the Test match debuts of yourself, Alistair Cook, and Joe Root? What links the debuts of you three?
We all made our debut in India.
Got to be a bit more specific.
We all made our debut at Nagpur.
Very good. 2 of you in the same game.
3 out of 3.
3 out of 3.
3 out of
Awesome.
3.
Bloody hell, Monty. Right. Question 4. Who has hit more sixes in Test cricket? You, Phil Tufnell, Derek Underwood, or Jack Leach? I'll say them again.
Leach.
Phil Tufnell, Derek Underwood, Jack Leach, or you? Who's hit more sixes?
In Test cricket?
In Test cricket.
Derek Underwood.
No. The answer is you.
Oh, wow.
You have won, and none of the others have hit any.
Oh, okay.
And I think I remember the 6 you hit. Was it off Murley?
Yeah, Muralitharan, yeah.
And Trent Bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, hell of a shot. Right, okay, never mind, because you can't have a full house now. 3 out of 4. Never mind, doing well.
Never mind. Okay. Question 5, we're on, aren't we? So question 5, yes. Okay, Monty, you played one T20 game for England. How many wickets did you take in that T20, and who did you dismiss?
I got Gilchrist and Mike Hussey out.
He's got it! He knows his career. 5 out of 6.
4 out of 5, I'd say.
4 out of 5, sorry. Question 6. In the 2009 Ashes, you famously repelled the Aussies in the first test at Cardiff, we've seen that, with an unbroken 10-wicket partnership with Jimmy Anderson. How many balls did you face?
Oh, and we'll give you a leeway of 2 either side.
34.
He's got it! Very good. 35, actually, but excellent answer. Very good. So that's 5 out of 6.
Right, this is a banger. This question is what they call, it's an absolute banger, this one, right? Okay, I've got to prepare properly for this. Right, Monty. I wish to book a cricketer or ex-cricket professional on Cameo to send a personalised birthday video to a family member. Who out of this list is the most expensive and who is the least expensive, right? So you've got the idea? There are 5 cricketers, ex-cricketers I'm going to name you. Those 5 are Greg Chappell, Chris Jordan, Ben Duckett, Tino Best, and of course, yourself, right? Who is the most expensive out of those 5 and who is the least expensive?
I would say Ben Duckett's the least and I'm the most expensive.
Well,
I've got to give you that. I'll give you that. I'll give you 3/4 of a point for that.
We'll give him one because yes, Monty did work.
Who's the most expensive?
You are. You out of the list of 5. What was really fun? Chris Jordan is about 30 quid, but actually the least expensive on this is Tino Best, who's about £11.
And you better just explain what Cameo is. Somebody, Richard, thoughts?
Well,
Monty.
Monty's the
yeah, Cameo is like personalized messages, whatever you want, and you just send them out. And yeah, people love birthday messages. Like, so instead of giving a gift, which could be like 20, 30 quid, people actually don't mind a personalized birthday message, and that could be the same sort of price, but it's actually from a sportsman, and they find that a lot more value.
Right. Okay. So what's that? 6 out of 7?
6 out of 7. What we'll say about Cameo, Monty, when I was looking at these kind of numbers, I also saw that you brought them earlier. You're even more expensive than the which Chuckleburgh is alive still? Is it Paul or Barry?
Yeah.
You are more expensive than Paul Chuckle. You were a premium Cameo celebrity.
I'm going to give him a point for that because I think knowing who's the least expensive is virtually impossible, and the fact that he knew he was the most expensive is a brilliant answer. So 6 out of 7. That was your question. My question 8 is: for which county have you taken most first-class wickets, Northants or Sussex?
Northants.
Incorrect.
Sussex.
Northants 191, Sussex 200.
Oh wow! Wow, I didn't realise that.
Okay, never mind. 6 out of 8. 2 questions to go.
6 out. So there's a chance for a decent score, isn't there?
There is. You've got to get these 2 though.
Got to get these 2. Question 9. Who scored more Test match ducks? You or Mike Atherton?
Mike Atherton.
He's got it!
That is correct.
Do you know how many you got and how many he might have got?
No. How many did he get?
20.
How many did I have?
19.
Oh my gosh.
You can give him that next time you see him. I've got less ducks than you. All right.
I'm gonna put it on a Twitter poll.
Yeah,
Who's
definitely.
got more ducks, Mike Atherton or me? And then let's see what they say.
Do. Right. So that's good. You've got 7 out of 9. Well done.
Yeah.
Even though you just guessed at that. Right. So this is the last question. Right. Question 10. What were viewers of Celebrity Masterchef aggrieved about in your mystery box recipe?
How I made the omelette.
Can you be a bit more specific?
When I made the omelette without oil,
something happened to it.
It burnt, and I just left the mushrooms in there.
He's got it! Oh, very good. Very good. Actually, the correct answer really was mixing chicken thighs with an omelette.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I was asked. I don't know what I was doing.
I mean, you know, your explanation was pretty good. So well done. That is 8 out of 10.
Yes. Thank you.
Excellent.
I won't be making you an omelette, Simon, so don't worry.
Thank God for that. I wouldn't mind a chicken biryani though. Jesus, if you'd make me that,
Yeah.
I'd be round straight away. Right. What is your speciality actually?
Just vegetarian food. I'm very good at making vegetarian food. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my specialty. Yeah.
And I suppose you're looking forward to a bit of vegetarian food on your way to India. So where are you playing these T20 games?
Yeah, we're going to play them in Nagpur, so in Ranipur, which is in Andhra Pradesh, like central sort of, India, and it's going to be like 37 degrees when we get there. So wow. It's going to be absolutely boiling. We're on a golf course. I'm going to make sure I pack my shorts. I'm not a great golfer, but hopefully I'll, learn to play golf.
And is it quarantine first or something, or straight into it?
I think it's a bit of quarantine first. I got my COVID testing done yesterday. Came back today as negative, so it will be valid for 72 hours, but it'll be 48 hours once we get onto the plane. So once I get to Delhi, we should be fine.
Okay. And right, well, final question is: can England get back either in this Test match or in this series?
I think it's going to be, if they can bowl them out. The key wicket was obviously Virat Kohli, and Ajinkya Rahane, he always plays off the back foot against spin. He doesn't want to come out front foot. I think you can get him out quite early. Rohit Sharma, he's going to be a key wicket. Got to get him early tomorrow. And if England can bowl him out for under 200, I think they're back in the game. A lead of 100, 150, I think they're back in the game. But anything beyond that, I think we're going to struggle.
And what's your hunch?
I've got a feeling that England are going to bowl them out for 200 tomorrow.
That's going to be a very dramatic first session then, isn't it?
Wow. Yeah, because it's Jimmy Anderson's over where he just got it to reverse, and he suddenly, if they can find that, I reckon they'll get a few of them out very quickly.
Well, listen, we must let you go and get packed.
Yeah.
And is this T20 on telly anywhere, do you think?
I think it could be. I'll let you know if it is.
It'll be on the Monty Channel, won't it?
Well, the Monty Channel will definitely get a...
Oh, well, so look out, everybody, for the Monty Channel and Monty's 4 overs of absolutely spite and guile in the T20 tournament that he's going to play starting next week, I guess, is it?
Yeah, 2nd of May, I think. Yeah. In a week's
2nd of March, you mean? Oh, that's a long, way otherwise.
Yeah.
Right, brilliant. Well, listen, Monty, thank you so much. And this is in aid of the Professional Cricketers Trust. And I know you're supportive of that charity. So all the money we're raising is going to that. So thank you very much for your time and good luck with your tour. And everybody wave Monty goodbye and check him out on the Monty Channel next week.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Monty, good night and God bless and good luck.
Cheers, guys. Thank you all. Good night.
Excellent.